And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to day 2 of the Xperience live at SpartaCon. SpartaCon, which is August 15th and 16th at Blue Crab Stadium in Waldorf, Maryland. Right now with me is Steve Huff, who is a stunt coordinator.
Fight coordinator,
yeah?
Action coordinator.
Yes. And with me is another Steve.
Steven. Steve David. I'm just hanging out here with the Coslove people.
My boy Patrick Michael Strange.
Yeah, Patrick Michael Strange. Yeah, he has a panel later today.
And he earned the mark yesterday.
Yeah.
My gladiatorial training program.
Yeah, I was actually hanging out with the other Steven, with the gladiators yesterday. Ran me through my work yesterday. It's pretty good work.
Hard work.
Now tell me, I wasn't able to watch that at the time because I was actually in a panel. How did that go, and what was your overall opinion of it?
It went really well. Everybody was very excited, and I didn't go easy on them. I mean, I put them through the ringer.
No, like I felt like I was like in the show, like guest doctor. I'm like, yeah, I really got into it. Like, it was pretty.
Especially
intense.
if you're a fan of the show.
Yeah. I was like, like the crack of the whip and everything. Like, it was great.
And that's the thing is, because I teach workshops internationally throughout the year, and I normally teach them just as a regular format. But when Matt Bergman, one of the sponsors of the event, asked me to do this, I was like, well, I could just do it normally, or I could just kid up, as a doctorian, crack the whip at him and put them through. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a very authentic experience. It was like straight. I loved it.
Now, how great would it have been if you got to do that with Peter Mensa, who played Anime?
That would have been absolutely amazing. I modeled my costume kind of after him. I had a chest piece, not as cool as his, but it's just too hot.
Yeah, you worked up a pretty good sweat yesterday.
Yeah, I remember I was actually over here at my table watching watching the new lead gladiator practice.
I was in
training.
that too. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And actually, it's funny because when I got out, I actually did the stage combat panel with Ellen, Barry, Steven, and what's her name? And Vanessa. I actually got to do the stage combat panel with them. And the next thing I know, I'm sitting over here, and I see 3/4 of them on the field. And I'm going, wait, what?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be on the field for this part too? I wasn't told about this.
Well, that was one of the things that's been so awesome about this con is just how friendly and approachable all of the celebrities have been, and how involved they are. I mean, it seems like they're having as much fun as we are.
They're a lot more involved than I thought they would have been.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like when I saw Manu Bennett walking out from the bullpen area with the baseball.
With the bat, and that was last minute. And
then,
then,
that's what I was told. I was told the thing with Liam was last minute.
Yeah,
actually, you and I were talking about last night after it was done.
Yeah, I mean, I asked Liam, one of the guy that I was actually supposed to fight in the show, Hunter Smith. He's a great fight stunt guy back in L.A. He ended up being cast in a film and wasn't able to make it. So I was kind of disappointed that I wasn't going to have anybody to fight in the Primus. And I asked Liam about it, and I was like, hey, not really expecting him to say yes. I'm like, hey, would you be interested in doing that? He's like, yeah, man, that'd be fun. Let's do it. And so we had 10, 15 minutes to choreograph the whole thing and put it together. He's amazing. He just picked up that choreo, like it was nothing. And then, we did that fight last night, and just hearing the crowd.
And I showed you the video.
Yeah.
I showed you the video
awesome.
when
it was crazy. Like, just having him come out, he just kind of dropped his jacket, like, all right, bring it on. I'm like,
it's like, and it's hot and humid out here.
Oh,
he was wearing that, like, I mean, it's probably a lightweight jacket, but still, like, I have my lightweight jacket with me, but I ain't wearing that thing out here.
No, it was
I'm wearing Under
awesome.
Armour instead.
Just to see the reaction of the crowd made it worth it.
Now, right now,
you feel the electricity in the air.
Yeah.
And right now, we're actually watching the DC Stunt Coalition do their midday games.
These guys are awesome.
And how are you actually liking it right now?
Oh,
what are you seeing from the DC Stunt Coalition?
They are really, really good. I mean, they really brought it.
Steve, I'm gonna have to put you guys on hold because right now we got Dustin Clare.
Oh, very cool, very cool.
So. Now I'm being on day 2 coverage of SpartaCon on the Xperience with Gannicus himself, Dustin Clare. Dustin, how are you enjoying SpartaCon, good sir?
Good, thank you. I got to have a throw of baseball out here on the pitch yesterday.
That.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was sitting right here. I was watching it. I was like, wow, they're playing baseball. This is awesome.
Badly. I think we were playing baseball badly.
And so what actually inspired you guys to start playing baseball on the field? Was it just a...
Because we've been sitting around all day and we've been sitting around all day, and we kind of wanted to stretch our legs, and yeah, we've just been sitting around.
Okay, and I've just been told that you got to get moving really fast to cut off, so I'm going to keep this short. Best moment on Spartacus, just for the fans so far.
Best moment. Well, I think I had some favourite fights, which were probably the first one inside the arena. The first time you see Gannikus fight, and also I really like the last fight on the Gods of the Arena in the Circle of Fire. Yeah, that was a great fight.
That was watching that. I've been watching since the beginning, and the way they introduced your character in both the prequel season and the regular season was actually really done really well, because you can actually see how your character was going from Gods of the Arena into Vengeance because of what happened with Melita and all that other stuff, and it was, you could really feel it.
Yeah.
And what's been one of your favorite moments so far at SpartaCon? Like, how have you enjoyed this?
I really like getting out on the baseball field and having a throw, because I mean it's a beautifully curated field, and it was good fun to do. It's not something you get to do at home in Australia very often.
Yeah, and like I said, I was actually watching you do that. Yeah. Seeing Todd come out with the baseball.
And man, hilarious. Todd can throw, huh? He can pitch. He's got some heat on him. I was catching him, and yeah, my hand was stinging after that.
But and any thoughts about just the convention itself? What have you thought about?
Oh, well, I haven't been to. This is my second convention ever, so this is my first one in America. So it's interesting to see how the show still resonates so many years after with a lot of people out here. So it's great they're still following.
Nice. But Dustin, like I said, you are obligated to be somewhere else right now. I do want to thank you for your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for giving me that time. And
enjoy the
rest
weekend.
Of your time.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank Dustin Clare so much for that. He had to be at a photo shoot right now, so getting the moment that I actually was able to get with him was very, very special. I'm actually going to take a break momentarily. I will be right back, and until then, hold on to your boots. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the break. This is Michael with the Xperience live at SpartaCon Day 2. With me right now is Attendee Marco.
Hello everybody, I am here with just trying to enjoy SpartaCon on Day 2. It's been an awesome event so far. Day 1 was really epic, a lot to cover, and just really excited to talk to Michael right here.
Yeah, yesterday you actually did the gladiatorial training with Manu Bennett.
Yes, that was pretty awesome. So it was Manu Bennett, Stephen
Dunlevy, Vanessa Cater, and Ellen Hollman.
Yep, all four of them.
Which is funny because I did the stage combat panel with Stephen, Ellen, and Vanessa, and also Barry, and then 3/4 of them are on the field, and I'm going wait, am I supposed to be on the field too? Am I hosting this? I'm confused a little bit.
SpartaCon fans, Barry and Duffield will be doing a demonstration here very shortly, just minutes away. Also want to make sure you're aware of the celebrity panel number 2 that's coming up, and that's going to be Viva Bianca, Anna Hutchinson, and Liam McIntyre. That takes place at 2:30 in the Ludus Lounge. That's celeb panel number 2, Love and War. Viva Bianca, Anna Hutchinson, and Liam McIntyre. That's at 2:30. Coming up right now is Barry Duffield.
I will definitely have to go to that panel. That's a great panel.
But my question is to you is, what was it? Okay, first off, you spent the money for it.
Yes.
What was it like being on the field with Manu Bennett?
Okay, so and I don't, if anybody had any video of it, I was the guy in the yellow shirt, and I was actually standing directly in front of Manu Bennett, and it was pretty cool because he was showing us how to fight with a sword. That's Barry.
And that's Barry.
Hammer time.
Is not a hammer.
This is not the hammer.
Uh-oh. And he's getting a real hammer.
Barry is about to go hammer time now.
I know, seriously. So let me finish up. Oh, man, I can't even finish.
We're just going to talk about Barry.
Yeah, let's talk about Barry. So he's doing his best impersonation of Thor right now. Oh, look, it's
Oh, he's bringing out
Vanessa.
Vanessa Cater. And he's actually bringing out Theo from DC Stunt Coalition.
Especially you, Dustin. Love you.
Everybody loves Dustin.
And there's Liam.
When we're on the set of a show like Spartacus, we rely heavily on the help of people like Vanessa, who are trained stunties.
But yeah, you were saying about Manu.
So Manu was teaching us how to fight with a sword, and it was really cool because he actually taught you that you cannot take a step and slice at the same time. You take a step, then slice, or you slice, then step. And we actually did a series of shadow strikes as well as shadow boxing. But what was really cool is that I actually was looking at Manu Bennett while I was doing shadow boxing, and he gave me like this look with a smirk, like, yeah, like little pup. And so it was actually pretty funny that we were going back and forth like that. It was definitely a great experience.
Yo, definitely. I mean, now you got to talk about this. Running around the field in circle.
Oh, that was actually pretty funny. Because I was actually in jeans and I had worked out that morning, so I was kind of already warmed up. So I actually did pretty okay. You know, it wasn't really a difficult run. It was definitely a good, nice, long run. But for the most part, they were supposed to actually do a sprint the second time around because there's supposed to be 2 laps. They only did a jog the first time and kind of slowed it down because a lot of people weren't keeping up. But it was a good experience. Good little way to get a little workout within Spartacus.
Nice. And, you know, I watched it. I watched the jogging. I watched him make you go side to side, backwards, all that stuff. He was trying to kill you guys, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was trying to push the pace. I mean, he definitely was switching directions a lot. Back, forward, side shuffle, hop backwards. You know, there's a couple different things that he wanted to do. And if you ever did like any football training or anything like that, it's similar to the run warm up you do like in football, or maybe even wrestling or some of the other sports that people might do.
Yeah. And now we're going to talk about the last thing that was done. And I'm actually mad I couldn't be on the field for this.
Oh, yes, the haka. That was
about the haka,
intense.
brother.
So Barca, or Antonio, he came out to the field, and Manu wanted to have Barca do one side of the haka while he does the other side. And so Manu did decide that with the people that did his gladiatorial training, and Barca did decide with the audience, and he actually had everybody come on the field for those who were able to come on the field.
Which I wasn't, and I'm really mad about that because I was actually prepping for a panel.
It was really intense. Like
I almost jumped the rail just to get over here.
Oh, it was beautiful. I mean, it was very intense. You could just feel the passion when they were doing that, especially Antonio. Like his facial expression when he was doing it, like you could see, like he was putting a lot of emotion into it. There was like veins popping out of his forehead. He was like, hokkate, and it was like, wow, this is.
But that haka though, just watching it, I was watching it from the Ludus line.
Did anybody film it?
I don't think we did, but oh man, I like I said, I literally wanted to jump the rail. I really wanted to jump the rail. Now, Marco, I'm going to have to put you off to the side for a moment.
Sure, no problem.
Because Stephen Dunlevy is right behind you.
Oh, wow. The Egyptian himself.
The Egyptian himself is with you. Stick around. I'll be right back to you, good sir. It's like,
interrupting.
Oh, no problem.
hello there, Mr. Dunlevy.
What's happening?
Hello there.
How you doing?
I am doing wonderful.
Wow, the seat's low.
We have another camping chair, but that one's been baking in the sun.
Oh yeah.
Dixon can sit in that one.
No, it's like I'm chilling.
Okay. But yeah, so how are you enjoying SpartaCon?
I love it, man. It's great to be. I mean, the weather's fantastic, and ladies and gentlemen,
Ladies and gentlemen,
stand
Vanessa
by.
Cater.
Public service announcement. No, it's fantastic. It's so awesome to be at a convention that's outside. Like especially at this ball field. It's just so much fun. I think it adds another element, and it's such a different dynamic to a lot of conventions where you don't get a chance to intermingle like that.
Yeah, and it's a very different vibe because like I do many other different conventions too, and most of them are in hotels or in convention centers. You know, and you've probably done plenty of those as well.
Oh yeah.
How is that vibe very different from a convention center or a hotel?
Like last year I was in, we did Comic-Con down in Miami, which is beautiful. It was the July 4 long weekend, and the World Cup was on, and we were stuck indoors. I saw none of the weather. We were staying on the beach in this amazing hotel, and I didn't get to the beach in daylight hours because we were stuck in this hotel. It's becomes a little stale. I mean, you have the air conditioning system pumping. You got no idea what's going on outside. I think this environment with the sun and especially with the ballpark, being able to get out there. And yesterday we trained the Gladiators, and you got Barry down on the field at the moment.
That actually blew my mind when you guys went down there, because I had hosted your panel with Ellen, Vanessa, and Barry, and the next thing I knew, you're on the field, and I'm like, wait, am I supposed to be hosting this too? Did I miss a memo or something?
Yeah. No, I like it. I mean, I've always grown up loving like Ren fairs and stuff like that. We didn't really have them in Australia.
Renaissance fairs are amazing.
So we went to, like, I always get a chance to go to the LA Ren Fair when it's there. And having something, especially with Spartacus, where it is all about the fighting, and it's a very period piece, and it's set in a very distinct time, to have that kind of outdoor interaction and be on an arena it suits it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and actually, I'm a huge Ren Fair goer. Right now is the Pennsylvania Ren Fair. It's running from the beginning of August to the end of October. The Maryland Renaissance Fair, which is near Annapolis, where the capital of Maryland is, that's actually going on. I believe it's starting up next weekend, and it's going to like the middle of October. And I'm going to say right now, I dress in a kilt, and I run around in my Ren boots and my kilt, and I have a blast. And it's just so fun.
My heritage is Scottish and Irish. My family's like the Scottish descendant from the McGregors, the only clan to be banished. So I haven't got a proper tartan kilt, but I did a lot of stuff with 511 Tactical, and so I'm a big fan of their clothes for working, everything like that. They brought out a tactical kilt as a joke a couple of years ago, and it became a huge success. So I got a couple of those.
Nice. Yeah, I have a utility kilt.
Yep.
That I kind of stole from somebody because he was being a jerk to me.
I hope they're not listening to this podcast.
He probably doesn't even know this podcast exists. And then I actually got a red trip kilt, and I actually have 2 custom-made kilts, one of which I actually designed myself.
Yeah.
And it's actually for the Washington Capitals. I wore it to the Winter Classic this year when they played outdoors.
Nice. I'm a big fan of kilts in hot weather. Like it's
the perfect wear. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, man, I really should have brought at least one of my kilts, because at least the breeze would be nicer.
I should have worn my kilt. It's back home in LA.
Yeah, you should have. We would be the 2 greatest men in kilts.
I have to work on my legs a little bit. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted. I saw Vanessa Cater down on the ground. Vanessa, who was part of the stunt team on Spartacus, big Amazonian, was struck down by Barry. I'm pretty sure it was stunt fighting. I think it was. I hope it was.
But you were the Egyptian on the show. I actually learned a very interesting tidbit about your character in your panel yesterday, which was your hair was a Barca spare wig.
Yeah, it was the stunt double wig for Barca. Well, that was intended purpose. I don't think it was ever used on screen. But when they were coming up with ideas with the Egyptian, we did the first time we did the Egyptian makeup. It was a 6-hour process, and they were looking at making him bald, and we did all the stuff bald. And then they decided it needed a little edge. It needed something to make it a little different, because we had bald people, and so they came up with the idea of putting this wig on that was that started like 3/4 of the way back, and that became the Egyptian.
But when you said that, I was like, what? That's so cool. And then of course I'm going to ask this question to you. I asked this question in the panel when. Of course, you were the Egyptian when you died in the season finale of Vengeance, and then Ellen Hollman, who plays Saxa, she takes your daggers and starts using it on the Romans who you fought for. How do you feel about that?
I think
go deep into the Egyptian.
Well, I mean, I think the Egyptian would have just been happy that they went to a worthy warrior. You know, she used those daggers with great skill and elegance. Yeah, he was a guy that worked for money. So if the rebels had paid him enough, he probably would have worked for them. He didn't believe in a cause other than money and promoting himself. He was a lost warrior in a way. And I think at one point in time, the Egyptian probably would have been on the side of the rebels. But the scars on his arms, you can't really see them in the show. But every time I was the Egyptian, I would have 2.5 hours of prosthetics. That's why most people don't recognize me. And I had scars from cutting on his arms, and basically the idea was every time that he killed someone, he cut himself. For me, like what it became for me, the right side, just to give a little bit of character that was never dwelled into, that I kind of just played with myself, was the right side of his arm was all the people that he had lost in his life, and the left side.
Love and War takes place at
I'll give you some love and war, big boy.
Anna and Leo.
Became a whole different podcast.
It's just became a whole different podcast. We got some love and war, baby.
Yep. So the left side of his arm was he had to tally up, so he had to make it even, and in that essence, he kind of got lost. But the weapons going to Ellen was pretty awesome. Yeah.
It was just like a passing on. Here you go. I'm dead now.
Absolutely. I mean, they're weapons of war, so it didn't matter. He was only fighting for the Romans because they paid him. He turned on Asher. See how dramatic it was that he turned on Asher? I don't know if you can hear the music, but there's music playing through the stadium right now. You look at those scenes, Asher recruited him as part of, to be part of that team, and then as soon as he was offered more money or something else, he turned straight on Asher.
Yeah.
He wasn't a principled guy in the end, and those swords, those daggers, his sword were used for killing. And I think they're weapons of war, and he turned them into weapons of death. He was just happy I think he would have been happy they just got used.
Yeah, and let's talk about your death, because your death was actually a very, what's a good word for it? It was a very good, vengeful death.
Yep.
Because you had initially in an earlier episode you had injured Peter Mentz's character Animaeus, where you
stabbed him in the eye.
You stabbed him in the eye.
Shanked him.
Shanked him in the eye, man. That's so not cool. So not cool.
To the eye.
but then later on in the season finale, the way you die is actually first you actually kill Animaeus, to which then Dustin, Clare, Gannicus gets the better of it.
Yeah.
What was it like filming that scene, the killing of Animaeus and then getting killed by Gannicus?
It was interesting. It was when I was first a fan of the show, and my favorite character out of that first season was Animaeus.
Well, everyone loved Animaeus.
Yeah, I mean, he was just such a strong and powerful character. When I got on the show, one of the first people I met was Peter Mentzer, who plays Animaeus, and just to meet him in person, he's such a likable guy, and he exudes that he's Animaeus without having to exude that.
And I've heard he's a very peaceful person.
He is the most gentle, peaceful, beautiful man you'll meet. He's just such an amazing gentleman. So to do that scene, I mean, obviously having watched Gods in the Arena and seeing the history between Animaeus and Gannicus and everything that happened personally between them,
and how they built up Animaeus too.
It's kind of. It was cool to. Killing Animaeus was. It was an honor to be the one to kill him, if that makes sense. He,
as an actor, was the honor to kill him.
Well, as the character and as part of the show and as part of mythos of Spartacus, he was leaving the show anyway. So he was, whichever way he went, he needed a warrior's death, and to give him that warrior's death was kind of an honor and a privilege, and it also meant that Gannicus and Animaeus could find a peace between themselves.
That was what you did it.
So that instigated. So being on set for all of that was amazing. I was lying there dead, obviously, through all of that, but to be part of that real scene was pretty cool. To be on set that day.
Yeah. And I just have to say, I've been a fan of the show since day one.
Yep.
And actually, it was very interesting because at the time when the show came out, I was doing a LARP called Darkon, which is medieval fighting with foam-padded weapons.
Yep.
And my fighting style is actually axe. I'm a hand axe fighter. And I've actually been able to adopt it with a 4-foot spear, a shield, a dagger, a morning star flail. So watching this show and also doing that at the same time was just like, dude, I can learn so much new stuff.
Yeah.
And then my shoulder went out. So I was like, oh.
It's interesting. I mean, it's amazing back in those gladiatorial times because we had to learn how to use all those weapons. So there's such a different fighting style between the sword and shield, or two swords, or the spear and net, or the ready arrow. I've lost track of all the names of the different gladiators.
The Rariari or something like that?
Yeah, with the net and going
net and trident, yeah.
going from short range to long range and adopting those kind of fighting styles and then integrating them in a little bit. You know, there was no flourishing. You'll notice that there's no like spinning. We were. If we had to do push-ups, if we were seen spinning the swords on set or doing Milanese or anything like that, we were doing push-ups. Everything had to be very. We got a little creative as the seasons went on, and Al Poppleton, who was the stunt coordinator, you know, he threw in little different techniques. We wanted to make it appeal to a modern audience there, so you will see different like things from MMA. There's some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo and arm throws.
Yeah, and I'm just taking off my headphones. I was like, I don't need these on anymore. I did what I was supposed to do with them, which is like making sure audio is still going through, and it is. Yep. But we actually, as you can see right now, we see Steve Huff, who's a fight coordinator, who fought Liam in the primers. What do you think about that fight?
That was fantastic.
Especially something that was just put together in 10 minutes.
Yeah, they put it together in 10 minutes. It just goes to show like the intensity of training we had. Liam came in and he hadn't swung a sword before, and he did the 2 years on the show and did the boot camps, and every day Liam was one of those guys that he put in some of the longest hours on set because he had to. I mean, he was
and actually the thing with Liam is that what got him the role was the boot camp. Yeah, because like from what I understand, a bunch of guys were brought in for the recast of Spartacus, and Andy had a say in it, and it was Liam's work ethic that earned him the role of Spartacus.
He was one of the hardest workers. He would finish up on set and he would be completely exhausted, or we all were, and he would jump in his car and we had a gym set up, so he would drive back to the gym, and we weren't always on the same location. We had a couple of different sets, different locations, buildings that we shot in, because everything was internal. There was no like outdoor location work, but we had a couple of different buildings, and they could be up to half an hour away from the gym. So he would drive back to the gym, and 9 o'clock at night, he would be in there, turn the lights on, and we'd work out. And on his days off, he was in there, and he was always up for learning fights. He had a lot of dialogue to learn, obviously, and a lot of stuff going on, but you'd pull him aside, and he'd be going through fights, and he really wanted to gave 100% to be Spartacus.
Yeah, and it showed. It really did. And how he evolved the character when he got the role from the very first episode of Vengeance to his demise in the final episode. It was really good transitioning on his part, and
absolutely,
and he had amazing fight scenes.
Yeah, he did. He had big shoes to fill. I mean, I had worked with Andy on a movie called Gabriel, which was back in Australia, and I knew Andy, and I love what he did in the first season. And Liam came in and he had massive shoes to fill. I mean, he had the weight of the series on his shoulders, and Liam's progression as Spartacus through Vengeance and then War of the Dam was just amazing. He really grew into it, and his fight skills. And as you could see yesterday, when he jumped in and learned that fight in 10 minutes, and he was moving like a fighter. The Liam that first came in didn't move that gracefully. He's picked up so much and come so far over the course of such a short time. It's amazing.
Yeah. And obviously we have the DC Stunt Coalition here doing the primers. What have you thought about the DC Stunt Coalition?
It's fantastic. Putting on a live show like that and getting the right angles in front of an audience, it's a hard thing to do. They're doing an amazing job, and they're playing with choreography and doing some very cool things. They're out there at the moment cracking whips and going through some fight sequences. It's cool to see the Egyptian out there as well.
Yeah, it was really, actually, it was, we actually, unfortunately, the audio didn't catch when I last recorded, but I had the person who fought the Egyptian yesterday on, and he's actually going to come back. We're going to re-record it, and we were talking about that fight. I was like, dude, that fight was amazing, and the ending of that fight was actually really good.
Yeah, they did a really good job, the Hammer versus the Kopish.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because it wasn't originally written that the character had a sword. He had double daggers, and then they were going to originally one of the original concepts was to actually chop off one of Amaze's arm. He loses an arm.
Yeah, you said that in the panel.
Yeah, for that they needed a sword. So they introduced this sword, and they built it and designed it. It's a team down in New Zealand. The props team was just amazing. So they designed and built that sword, and then we had it, and then they went, well, actually, it's not going to be the arm, it's going to be the eye, because, cost reasons and removing an arm and not having the arm and everything like that was going to be prohibitively expensive.
Yeah, because if I remember it right, it actually went, stabbing the hand, twisted it, and went into the eye.
Yeah.
And that just seeing that, I was like, oh. It was like first I saw the hand, I was like, oh, that's gotta hurt. And then you put in the eye, I was like, oh, that's not cool, man. That's not cool. How dare you? How dare you, good sir? But overall, because we are in like the second half of day 2, what has been the overall experience? Because you've gone through day 1, we're on day 2 now.
Yep.
You're about to go through photo ops, I believe.
Yep, we got some photo ops and stuff like that.
Yep. And I'm just gonna be here, hopefully in the shade.
Hell yeah! No, I've loved it coming to Maryland. It's my first time to Maryland. But being part of this and getting to meet people and learning their experiences, why they got to start watching SpartaCon.
Well, why we started watching SpartaCon?
Yeah, we start watching. We're live streaming. No, we're not. Don't try and look for it because we're not. Their experiences with the show and what it means to them, and everyone has a different reason for watching the show. It's fantastic to get that feedback and to meet the fans, because it's because of the fans that the show is there, and that we had such a good run and such a continued success. And 3 years on from the final episode to the final season, we're here in Maryland, and there's all these people turned up at the baseball stadium here, and it was such a privilege to be part of such an amazing show and to meet the people that matters to.
And this is I'm considering this my second time getting to work with you. Working with you in the panel, it was an honor, because anytime I'm able to get to work with anyone celebrity-wise, it's not an everyday occurrence that you get to do that.
I wouldn't call me a celebrity, but
hey, you're higher up on the actor scale than I am, good sir. I'm this low-level local schmuck.
No, the thing to remember is, like, we're all humans. It's a job, and it's a job that gets notoriety and things like that. At the end of the day, it's a job, and I think that's what people forget in this day where everyone wants their 15 minutes of fame. The actors, especially, like, you look at people like Liam and Dustin and Manu, they come to work and they're prepared. They train their asses off for that show. They're there after work training. It's not just like rock up and, hey, I'm a star.
I've actually been following Manu since 2006.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately. I first saw him in the movie The Marine, which starred John Cena and Robert Patrick.
Yep.
And the best line ever that he ever did in that was they're shooting up the car that John Cena's driving behind him in the car chase scene. And he just kind of looks up and he's like, this guy's like the Terminator. And Robert Patrick just has that look in the rearview mirror like, oh, no, you didn't.
Right.
Because Robert Patrick was the Terminator too. And then Manu went into doing The Condemned with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vinnie Jones and Rick Hoffman. And I actually, when they did the Crixus Navia storyline, I actually saw a lot of his character Paco from The Condemned in Crixus during that when it had everything to do with Navia, and I nerded out over that just because I saw him way before. It was like, oh, John Hannah's in it, great. Lucy Lawless in it, great. Holy crap, it's Manu Bennett.
Yeah,
that's what got me. And then he did 30 Days a Night too.
Yep,
and he was Billy Kitka with Josh Hartnett and Melissa George. So, like, I literally been following him, and then when he got into the show, I was like, oh, this is awesome. He's finally getting, like, that big break to be a lead guy.
Yeah, he's so charismatic on screen. Manu has that presence that, and you love him. Everyone loves Crixus. Like, you look at the fan base and everything like that. Everyone, like, Manu has a charisma on screen. He's fantastic. I love watching him. I loved the Crixus character when I first watched it.
And actually, when I was watching the show, I loved it that it was Manu Bennett. I hated Crixus. I hated Crixus. And then when he started teaming up with Andy, it was like, oh yeah, now I can start liking Crixus now. But I actually want to end it on this note. I want to ask you, because you had mentioned that you had worked with Andy. What was Andy Whitfield like? Because obviously I've only saw him in the shows in Blood and Sand, and then unfortunately he passed away, which hurt. And the tribute that we saw yesterday was an amazing one. I just want to know, from working with him, knowing him, what was he like?
Well, I spent only a short amount of time in his amazing life, and from a professional standpoint, he was amazing. He was so nice to work with on set. He was very, very generous person, a very great guy, and again an amazing presence. I mean, we all know his star would have shot up, and he would have gone on to do amazing things after Spartacus if he had the chance. it was a privilege to have met him and to have spent time with him for the short amount of time that I did, and I'll always be thankful for that.
Yeah, and he was just so wonderful on that show. I love watching him. And Steven, take the opportunity, plug. How can people follow you? Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff.
Dude, I'm hopeless. I'm honestly hopeless with social media. You can probably follow me. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I'm just looking it up right now because I have no idea what my handle is. I'm pretty sure it's I think it's at Steven Dunlevy. At Steven, I think I changed it recently to be. It's at Steven with a PH because it's not Stefan, it's Steven Dunlevy. And I think it's pretty much the same as Twitter.
Yeah, and
Steven Dunlevy. Yeah.
Yeah, because I follow you. I'll be tweeting you when this goes up live in 2 weeks.
Excellent.
But thank you so much for coming on.
Guys.
It's an honor to have you on.
Thank you very much.
And for that, we're actually going to take a quick break. I will be back right after this. And we are back from break for day 2 of SpartaCon. This is Michael. This is obviously the Experience as always. And with me is my good friend from New Release Wednesday, who I plugged a lot yesterday because he's awesome. And we were talking about you while you're on the field with Manu Bennett. I am so jealous of you, Mr. Patrick Michael Strange.
What's going on, the Experience? This is Patrick. Yes, thank you, Mike. This is my second time.
Second time.
Wasn't I on your initial?
Yeah, you're on the initial one.
We did at Amazing.
Yeah. And then we're actually going to be together again on September 12th.
Yes, you're coming out to my Batman day that I'm doing with the shop.
Yeah, and then if anything can get worked out, I might be at Baltimore Comic Con at least on the Saturday or the Sunday. It all depends on.
Bro, if you come out Saturday, even though I run this whole charity cosplay group, I really don't do much cosplay. And actually, this guy was making fun of me today. Let me tell you,
he's wearing a toga.
I am wearing a toga. Because my lovely Shamika Dima-Shuberry, who's part of my cosplay group, asked me to do it since we were doing the cosplay contest, and everybody was in costume, and I had to get into costume. And this guy from the stands, Patrick, you're wearing a toga!
And I was heading to a panel, too. That's why I didn't run down. I was actually heading to a panel.
Dude. But, what I was getting at is on Saturday, man, are you a Masters of the Universe fan?
I've actually read it or
the cartoon.
No, I've never seen it actually.
I keep forgetting. You're a younger guy than me.
I'm
younger. You didn't grow up with Masters of the Universe cartoon.
I know. No. Here's the thing. I know of it, but I've never seen it.
All right. Well, there's a character by the name of Stratos that I will be cosplaying as. But what's really cool is that we're gonna have about 30 people cosplaying this Masters of the Universe characters, and I'm part of this large 30-member group.
Nice.
It's gonna be awesome. So we'll
definitely see what we can do. If I can't get a badge to go in, maybe I'll just drive up and just walk around the outside.
Yeah, hit me up. Hopefully we can get it. Sometimes reception's bad down there, but SpartaCon, that's where we're at right now. Having a good time. I saw you knocking it out the box with a bunch of different awesome people on the show, and and I was fortunate enough.
Dunlevy, the
Yeah,
Egyptian.
I just saw you pass the Egyptian by and all that, and
I got Dustin Clare, who played Gannicus. I got him for like 3 to 5 minutes.
Nice.
And
score.
And you want to know something? What it was is that I'm actually handing out copies of my film, which I got your copy with me, bro.
Oh, cool.
I got your copy.
Oh, well, cool. Then I cannot leave without it.
Exactly. It's
Awesome.
It's like as I just go over the.
There you go. My brother, I will check it out this week.
And you personalize that you do,
hey,
bro.
My brother, thank you so much. We're gonna have to take a picture with my guys over here too. I got my New Release Wednesday people here with me: Christopher Chang, Nadia Donna, NLA Creative. I love these people. They were here doing some awesome work with us, capturing all the awesome moments here at SpartaCon. So check the YouTube.com New Release Wednesday page, Facebook.com/New Release Wednesday page,
and I'm plugging.
Team Cost Love page, and I'll have all the amazing work that NLA Creative, my gal Nadia, and my boy Chris Chang put together. Beautiful stuff. You're gonna want to check it out, people. And shout out to my man Mike. We're now talking about he pulled him out, the XCT crew, Extreme Champion Tournament crew. I'm actually getting ready to interview them in a bit.
Sean Paulette.
Michael knocked them out yesterday.
I interviewed him yesterday.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful human being. And actually, and this is why I wanted you to talk to you about this, because this is an Australian comic.
Okay.
And we don't have that over here. We really don't. And that's why I asked him about, wanting to review it for New Review.
They came all the way from Australia?
They came all the way from Australia.
Wow.
And here's the thing. And he actually...
That was a long flight.
He did a lot of name dropping. And actually, the artist right here, Brendan Halliday, is local.
Okay.
So...
we need to get him on the show then.
Yeah.
I'll need to chat with him and see if I can bring him out to the show.
Yeah. And he was saying it's like... it's a really big independent scene for comics
down
in
there
Australia.
Yeah.
And... I
actually worked with an artist by the name of Andy Tong out there in Australia. Amazing artist. I think he's in Perth. We worked a while back when I used to do Anime USA and stuff.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
And but he was saying it's like, coming over here to the States and actually bringing it out, it's really great for him because
awesome.
It's getting that more exposure and stuff like that. And we both agree. It would be nice to see more indie comics out here.
Totally.
And
I'd love to go out to Australia though. I gotta say that. Hey,
you tell you the same thing too. You gotta come to Australia.
I'll come to Australia.
I come to Australia too when I have the money. but he was saying it's like, I was saying it actually. It's like we don't get the CDs over here. So for us to actually review these
XCT books
and bring it on to New Review,
New
Release Wednesday.
Shout out as well, by the way. I don't think because it was our first episode at Free Comic Book Day for the Xperience that I was with you.
Yeah.
But you have joined my New Release Wednesday team. You're part of the New Review crew, and you're
I've actually
mentioned
it a few times. I actually because at Wrestling we shout out to you all.
Oh yeah, just had Mansa and Ben on the show.
Yeah,
we're calling you out too. We're giving you shout outs.
Oh, you're calling me out
all the time.
Do you know what we need to do? We need to have it where you set it up with Ben and Mansa to do another episode.
Oh yeah,
and then I just sneak up.
And I actually assigned them. They're my assignment editors now. They actually wanted to take on some new roles on the New Review team. So they are there, and man, we're all one big happy family.
Yeah, we are.
You'll be on there.
But yeah, we have to have you just do an unannounced walk-in on them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like you call me out, I see how it is.
Have you come out in Stone Cold Stunner, one of them or something like that?
Oh, it'd have to be Mansa.
Yeah, Ben, you got to get up there a little bit more, and it might hurt him too much.
Yeah.
We still love you, Ben.
Yeah, we love you, Mansa, but shut up, Mansa. But overall, how has SpartaCon been to you?
Well, to be brutally honest, I have never watched an episode of Spartacus. I am familiar with the show because I am trying to, and actually I studied up in preparation. But my sister, huge Spartacus fan. I actually tried to get her to come up from South Carolina so she could enjoy the show, but she wasn't able to make it. But in preparation for the show, since I haven't watched an episode of Spartacus, I watched a lot of stuff on YouTube, saw some previous interviews with the cast, and saw some previous, because SpartaCon, this is their actual first stateside.
This is actually
SpartaCon. It's usually an international show.
No, yeah, what it is that the original Spartacus convention, which is done 2 years now, is in Paris.
Yes.
And that's the only other Spartacus convention. This is the first Spartacus convention in the United States.
Yeah.
And actually, and this is an interesting tidbit, and Dustin mentions this in my interview earlier. This is his second convention ever.
Wow.
His first ever in the United States.
Wow.
He's the type of guy who kind of stays out of the spotlight.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. Not everyone wants to be in it.
Yeah.
But such a humble, wonderful human being. And
everybody I've met so far, again, so I was preparing myself because I was going to meet these guys.
Yeah.
Meeting Manu Bennett, meeting Liam, meeting all these guys. very awesome people, really cool, really are warm to get to know and talk, and very cordial. So it's made me want to see the show more. And my only familiarity with like Liam, he was the weather wizard on Flash.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big pop culture comic book guy, and Manu being Deathstroke on Green Arrow. And so it was cool to meet everybody, and I got a chance to interview Manu yesterday.
Yeah, I saw you wanting to tag yourself in the picture I put on your Facebook. This
man.
morning.
It was cool
Good
to see
picture,
them, and thank you. And got to talk to him, have him be on the New Release Wednesday show, and also had him throw up the heart for Cost Love. He is a big fan of our mission that we do with Cost Love, where we entertain at schools and hospitals. And actually, let me tell you this.
I can't promise this, but I'm working.
You can kind of see this.
Oh yeah, I noticed it yesterday.
This is my Manu Brews. Hashtag Manu Brews. There's this thing apparently that you Spartacus fans do, or they did back then, where they handshake and it's gratitude that I've learned. But we hit so hard, or Manu came at me so hard, that, bruh, you see what he left there.
Yeah, actually,
but it's all good. I'm sporting it as a badge of honor.
I was actually talking to him about I was handing him a copy of my film, and I actually personalized it. Thank you for being an inspiration, because Manu is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to get into acting.
Awesome.
Because, like I said, actually I said it with Stephen Dunlevy. I've been a fan of Manu since 2006 because he was in the Marines with John Cena and Robert Patrick.
He was in the Marines.
He was Bennett. He was the one who had his key line was...
I saw only bits and pieces of it.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to watch that now, too.
Watch the car chase scene.
Okay.
There's a line that he says, and Robert Patrick kind of looks in the rearview mirror and goes, "Oh no, you didn't. I'm not going to spoil it for you. You got to watch it."
Okay.
But
I'll check it out.
But then he did the Condemned with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vinnie Jones.
Shut up. He was in the Condemned too.
He played Paco.
Get out of town. I seen the Condemned.
And you want to know something? I'm going to tell you this right now. When you finally get to watch Spartacus, when you see Manu Bennett's character Crixus, and you see him in the story arc with Navian, who's his love interest,
got it.
You see a lot of Paco in Crixus.
Okay.
And it was like, that's really cool. And the fact that me being a fan of his since 2006, I was able to pick up on that.
Awesome.
And then he did 30 Days a Night. He was Billy Kitka.
I've seen 30 Days a Night.
He was
so he must he really blends in with the character, because I don't recall his stuff.
Yeah, he did that. He was he played Billy Kitka. He played the police partner, the Josh Hartnell's character.
Nice.
And and then he didn't do anything for a little bit. Then he went into Spartacus. I was like, this is awesome.
Cool.
So that's actually
so he's been around for a minute then.
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
then of course he did a lot of stuff in Australia and New Zealand and stuff like that. But it was
great guy.
Oh yeah,
very pleasurable guy.
And when I
easy to talk to.
And when I gave him the film, and I'm not going to talk about some of the other stuff because I don't want to talk about it on the air.
Yeah.
We were talking about. I told him I had the podcast over here, and I even mentioned to him that the panel that he's doing today, I wrote it. I actually spent 7 months crafting and building this panel for him and Antonio.
Yeah.
And then I just got taken off it, and we were just like, but
things happen. But you did a lot of homework, and that was really awesome.
Yeah, and I told him that, and he's like, I'll see what I can do to come on over and do the podcast. Because it's like the thing, if you have the time, do it.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it right now. I'm not guaranteeing him, but I have approached Manu Bennett about coming on the podcast.
Well, I wish you good luck. He's a great guy to talk to.
I've talked to him twice already. He's a wonderful person. I've only talked to Liam once, and that was yesterday.
Okay.
And we were actually talking about the Spartacus board game from Gale Force 9, which I'm going to prop up for the camera.
Because we have my New Release Wednesday crew taping too as well.
Yeah, this is
Shout out to my man Chris on cam.
Yeah, this is a crossbreed of New Release Wednesday and the Xperience.
Yeah.
The crossbreed.
There you go.
You got the video, I got the audio.
Welcome to NRW. So this is this is your first time on NRW.
This is my NRW.
Wave to the camera there,
Mike. How you doing? But actually, I'm supposed to have the guys from Gale Force 9 on to talk about the Spartacus board game. And actually, I was talking to Liam about it.
Okay.
And I actually told him I won the board game for the TV show for a Twitter Q&A.
Sweet.
And we were talking about it, and I told him what the question was, and I was starting to tell him what the answer was, and him and I at the same time was gathering vines to go down Mount Vesuvius. And we said it together. He's like, "Oh, that's so awesome!"
You had a little moment.
I had a moment with Liam McIntyre, and I hope he gets to come on, because that would be really great.
Awesome.
For me and him. And apparently he's a huge gamer.
Sweet.
And Steve Huff, who's actually on the field right now.
Oh, that's my guy too.
Yeah, Steve Huff is on the field. I was actually talking to him earlier. I was talking to him last night. I actually videotaped his fight.
Yeah, with Liam.
Yeah, which was hilarious.
Yep.
And we were talking, and Liam's a huge gamer.
Okay.
Apparently, like Steve does game night at his place in LA, like Thursday night, and Liam shows up every Thursday night.
Sweet.
So we were talking, like, dude, Spartacus board game right over there.
Yeah.
I'll learn it right here, right now, if I get to play with you and Liam. Let's do it.
It was funny talking to Steve. We had met actually on a film before.
Really?
When we were chatting up, like I've worked. Apparently, we had been friends on Facebook for a while.
Really?
Didn't even realize because we worked on. Because I'm an actor. I've been acting since 1996. I'm an old guy.
Wow, I've been acting since 2012.
So I've been in the game a little bit, and it's just funny how small the world is.
Oh, it is.
And how it's all connected.
And he's
just
from
a great
Waldorf.
guy. Yeah.
He's from right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for him, it was literally coming home for him.
Yeah. So great, and it was awesome seeing him fight Liam.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got that.
I videotaped that.
Yep.
That's definitely going up on the X75 Productions YouTube page because or you guys could take it because I'm actually commentating.
We ran 2 cameras, so we got plenty of it. But I appreciate it.
But I have my commentary on it because I was recording the podcast.
Well, you have to share that with me then. I got to hear
the
words of wisdom from Michael Lindenbaum.
Oh, my buddy Dixon, wherever he just went, he's actually the handler for Stephen Dunlevy.
Okay.
We were just like nerding out hardcore. we got joygasm.
Awesome.
We got a joygasm.
Well, I hate to run in on you, man, but I appreciate you allowing me on because I got to run over to this show real quick.
Yeah, the plug, my man.
Thank you. And again, shout out to my man, Michael Lindenbaum. Great guy. I'm happy to know you and have fun with you. And we're doing a lot more stuff together, so this ain't the last time you're going to see me and Mike together. So shout out to my man, Mike, though. I'm always happy to be on your show as well. So, but we're all one big happy family.
Oh, yeah.
But quickly to just promote real quick since my man letting me having this time. So thanks, Mike.
Yep.
If you want to follow me, patrickstrange.com, www.patrickstrange.com. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's at Temple Far East, TempleFareast, at Temple Far East on Twitter to follow all my crazy things that I do. And specifically, one of those being New Release Wednesday. It's my weekly pop culture show where we give you the hashtag top 3 from 3. I have 3 guests on. One being this recent episode with my boys' partners over here, Mansa and Ben. They were my latest guests from MBM Wrestling. Shout out to them. They'll be on my upcoming show dropping this Monday. I don't know when this is going to drop. So check out youtube.com/New Release Wednesday to check out our weekly pop culture show. We also have event coverage. We'll have our SpartaCon coverage up on there. And our
mark with Steve Huff will be taking place very shortly.
Steve Huff. Shout out to Steve Huff again. As the announcer talks over me.
Actually, I'm going to say this right now. Actually, the great thing when we knew and Liam were on the mic, I was just recording it.
Oh, really?
So the day one coverage.
Yeah, sure. Go there quick.
That's the voice of God, people.
Everyone loves the voice of God.
You shut down when the voice of God speaks.
But you're saying New Release Wednesday?
Real quick, youtube.com, New Release Wednesday. Check that out and follow us on there. Or subscribe to us on YouTube. We also have a Facebook page. Please like us on Facebook. And shout out to my charity cosplay group. We ran the costume contest here, as well as the costume contest, the cosplay panel here at SpartaCon. So my team, Coslove, COSLOVE. Again, we're a bunch of former military men that took one uniform and put on another uniform of that of a hero to continue our service of supporting the people and families and showing that you can be a hero in any costume. And we brought on a bunch of great cosplayers to join us to entertain at schools and hospitals and special events. And we're trying to do a lot of good, and we have a lot of love from y'all. So we're throwing up those hearts to show our heart. So hashtag show your heart. We love y'all. Cost love. And that's me, Patrick Michael Strange, New Release Wednesday with my boy, Michael Lindenbaum. Cosplay Life.
Which, for New Release Wednesday, because they're filming me.
And my, I didn't even look up at my dude over there.
You're just looking at my mic.
I'm promoting my brother over here, too, while I'm looking at the camera over there.
Okay, now, for those who are now meeting me for the first time, you can follow me on Twitter at the Lindenbaum75.
Yep.
And on Facebook, you can follow me on Facebook.com/X75 Productions.
Yeah.
You can also do YouTube with X75 Productions, where you can just subscribe to that as well. And of course, you'll get more of us together. So, I'm actually going to take my show on break.
All right. Well, let's go together.
Let's go together. For New Release Wednesday and for the Xperience, we now go on break.
And show our cause love.
We show our cause love.
There you go.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Xperience. Coming up next is going to be what is now the remainder of the Barry Duffield Ellen Hollman interview. Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, the first 10.5 minutes were lost, but we still were able to salvage the last 5 minutes. So right now, we're going to go back to SpartaCon with Barry Duffield and Ellen Hollman. And right now, we're at a part where Ellen Hollman is explaining to us why we should watch The Scorpion King 4.
And then she wants to regain her family's throne that has been seized by her fiance, which is played by Will Kemp. And then Matthias, which is played by Victor Webster, essentially gets me out of jail. And we go through trials and tribulations and ridiculous scenarios in order to regain my family's legacy. It is so freaking hilarious. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But it's PG-13.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, but what? And I asked you this in the panel yesterday. What did you bring from Spartacus that you actually were able to bring into Scorpion King 4?
All the athleticism, all the sword work, everything. Even though I didn't have a sword in this one, there's a lot of the Krav Maga that I learned off season. And then also Into the Badlands, which is AMC's next show, which I play Zephyr. She has a giant sword that she fights with, so definitely the training came into play there.
Yeah, and for Barry, what are you actually up to right now? I know you're doing the stuff with Dead Man's Land and Tandoori Apocalypse, but are you writing any other projects right now for short films or anything?
I'm going to watch
Yeah, and actually that was one of the things that made me go, it's like, oh wait, Ellen's in it. Yeah.
Oh, it's a ride.
Yeah.
So what am I up to? I'm contract writing, so I've written a film called The Viking Wars that currently casting. That's where I was from. I'm in the process of rewriting that film for Blood Reach. I'm co-starring in. It's starring Dunlevy, Luke Ross. And I've got my own projects out there, so the spec script out there, so the contract jobs and spec scripts, this film coming up. Keep me pretty busy.
Busy, out of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing keeps me out of trouble.
And actually for me, as I told you earlier, I had jaw surgery earlier this year. I am actually going to be getting my opportunity to return into acting soon. I'm actually writing a fan film trilogy, which unfortunately, because this is airing on the last Saturday of August, and I've already recorded the episode in September where I make the announcement, I cannot say it on air. No. I'm actually going to be acting in that. I'm writing it, I'm producing it, I'm acting in it.
How cool!
So that's going to be my return to acting, and any work I could try to get far in between too would be amazing, because it's what I want to do for a career. I want to host, I want to act. It's what I want to do.
Well, you got the right idea, because a lot of times you have to create your own work. Create a body of work, get it seen.
Yeah, and like what you guys are going to see with Cosplay Life when you do get to see it is that's the first film I've ever written, ever produced, and was ever the lead. So for me, that was a lot of firsts for me, and I learned a lot, crash course wise too.
Yeah.
And
hard work.
It really gives you, like, that year and a half I worked on it, from the moment I started writing the script to the day I got to debut it at a convention.
So cool.
It was just a ride. But where can actually no, correct. One question, and then we get to do the plugs. How have you guys been enjoying SpartaCon? What's the vibe like been for you?
Well, like we said earlier, it's a family reunion. You're in a collective environment where people are excited to see you. I don't see how I could have a single complaint in the world. It's just been a blast.
Because it's been so ongoing, and the social media has kept it alive. People that you've met when you've been on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, everything that they're on, Spartacus. You've made a big family out there as well, and you get to meet them here, and it's almost like it's them going, oh, we know who you are because of this, but we know who they are too.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, one of the first things I had to do was introduce myself to you guys, let you know this existed, because nobody would have known, because I was just all the way over here. But I am a legit fan of the show. I've been a fan since day one of when the show came out. I was actually LARPing at the time in a medieval foam fighting group when the show came out. And I actually got to learn some things.
That's so funny.
And actually, I was pointing it out to one of the DC stuntmen. I actually do dagger fighting. And
That's
I actually,
so cool.
and I actually
I
have,
want to see you take Zach's run.
and I actually do, and I actually do
Yeah.
have a dagger fighting stance for when I do like pit fights and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've actually gotten the Final Four before. And I'm actually
I'm absolutely serious with you, Michael. I want you to take action. I've got some money. I'm prepared to put that down, but I'm backing her.
I figured as
I can't
much.
promise I won't throw
Do
some,
what's funny? We're both kind of lanky in our own ways, so we actually have that to our advantage, which is also a disadvantage at the same time. 'Cause we're probably gonna fight the same way.
Plus, I'd use some jujitsu on you and you'd be screwed.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that would be scraping you off the floor.
I'm just a hockey player.
Scraping you off the floor.
But real quick, where can the people find you on the social media universe?
Not me. They can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. I'm not on Gaydar yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well, I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Ellen Hollman, and then Facebook is Ellen Hollman official Facebook page.
Yay. And of course, right now we're going to go back to break. Ellen, Barry, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, Steve.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back from break, and joining me now is actually one of the sponsors of SpartaCon, Gale Force 9, who does the Spartacus, a game of blood and treachery. And with me is John. John, how are you doing?
Hi, very good. Thank you very much.
Now, how did Gale Force 9 become, and how did you get into making the board games for TV shows?
Okay, two very in-depth questions. First was Gale Force 9 started making gaming accessories for popular games. Then they partnered up with a company called Battlefront Miniatures, and we went forward. One of the employees for Gale Force 9, obviously a massive Spartacus watcher, came up with this idea of we could make a board game for this show. And we talked about it, and we, chatted, and you sort of say, well, yeah, this is really cool. And then John Kowaleski, who was the general manager for, and still is, for Gale Force 9, went, well, how do we do it then? And it turned from being an idea into a plan. And he approached the people making the show and said, would you be interested in a board game of? And we signed a license. And I know it sounds as simple as that, but that actually took months. And so we came up with a concept, to apply, they go through, they look at it, they ratify it, and then suddenly it came about. And it really came about by the dice mechanic of in the arena. And so we started with that and then fleshed it out. And what we really wanted to do more than anything was you should feel the show in the board game. You had to have that feel about it. So the intrigue, the backstabbing, the trying to get the influence of Rome being attracted to it. And I think we did a reasonably good job, I have to say.
And obviously, as you can tell, my copy is not opened yet.
Yep.
And here's why. I don't have anyone I can play with.
Yes.
And if you don't have anyone you can play it with, I'm not going to open it. It's simple.
I quite
on that
understand.
One. And also, I won it from the show. They actually did a Twitter Q&A contest and trivia contest, and they're like, how did the Romans? What mountain did they come down, and how they get down from it? Gotcha. And the answer was they gathered up vines and they went down Mount Vesuvius.
Yeah.
And I was sitting at a hockey game at the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C., and my phone goes off, and it's them messaging me saying, congratulations, you won!
Well done. Yeah,
and I was like, cool. And then the question came of, who am I going to play this with?
Yeah. The advice to anybody else out there that has the same problem, I would say, is a local hobby shop. You can always find them in Yellow Pages or online or something like that, and you will normally find that that's where you can find players that also play pickup games.
And not only that, but if you go to a lot of comic book shops, do games too.
Yes, when I say hobby shops, I mean comic book shops. Wherever games are sold, so Barnes & Noble carry it. It's had a trial in Target. I don't know whether they will carry on with it, but it's definitely in there. You can find. Harder to pick up a game in those two environments, but of course, making yourself available is how you meet other people to play, and you know, gamers are very open. They will always want to pick up a game.
Now, you have a setup here. You have how many game tables do you have set up?
We have 2 at the moment. We could go to 3 if we needed to.
Okay. And I walked by a couple times because I had to do some panels, and you and your partner that's here with you both have been actually playing the games with the people.
Absolutely, it's been nonstop.
And it's been you've just been like slowly like teaching them how to play the game. Have you had like anybody like Steve Huff or Liam McIntyre come up and start playing?
Liam came up this morning, quite surprised us before as they walked by, because we're lucky enough to be where they come in the morning, and they all walked by, and instead of Liam going off to the autographs, he just sat down at the table, and I was thinking, oh, okay, so I said to him, would you like to learn how to play? And he turned to me and he said, I was only playing this 2 nights ago, and I was, oh, really?
Yeah, because
said,
because apparently Steve Huff, he does game nights on Thursday night. He was actually telling me this, and Liam shows up all the time.
Yep, he does indeed. He seems to be a proper gamer.
Yeah, and that to me is like nerd cred right there, man. Nerd cred is right there. Now, for me, because I have not played the game, and actually I do have Steven here from Cause Love as well.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve. Explain the game to us, because like I said, I haven't played it yet. Explain the game to me. How does it work? What are the mechanics like?
Slightly harder to do with no visuals, but I'll do my best. There are set sort of phases. The first one is to make sure that you have done the upkeep of your looters, that's the word I was looking for, thank you very much. Is you've got slaves which bring in money, gladiators cost you money. So when you're starting out, your game plan should be to try and keep those fairly even. You don't want to be having loads and loads of gladiators but no money coming in, because you're going to lose a gold every time. So if you sort of keep it 3-2, 4-2, 5-3, that sort of thing, build up in that way, you're good. You then go through there. If you've got injuries, there's little rolls to do all of that sort of thing. And that's the first bit that you start with, earning gold. You then move into the intrigue phase, where you get cards dealt to you that have 3 very important factors, but 2 that you should pay attention to in the first place. One is in the left-hand corner, whereas you can just sell the card immediately and you get gold. These are normally lower numbers than what the card might do, but the card's abilities might not actually go through because somebody might foil your...
Attention SpartaCon fans, the meet and greet with Dustin and Clare is about to take place.
I challenge you to do this,
I
challenge you. I put it.
That would be in Suite 4.
I swear, I'm gonna start doing after I do my fan film trilogy, I'm just gonna make a movie where I just fight like an Englishman. Yeah, pretty good shot, pretty. I challenge you to a duel. But you were saying
you go through there. So that's the way you can make some gold, is just by selling the cards. The other one is in the top left-hand corner. And this is how much influence you need to be able to do the scheme. And as I mentioned before, it is all about the influence of Rome. You want to get to 12, which is where you win. The more influence you own yourself, the less you have to try and borrow or cajole or bribe other people to help you out. And once you have all played your cards, hopefully your gold pile has increased. You then go into the market phase. The market phase
Your attention, SpartaCon fans.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you're aware that the next celebrity panel, number 3, Blood and Sand, featuring Manu Bennett and Antonio De Mahoa, will be taking place at 4 o'clock in the Ludus Lounge. Celebrity panel number 3, Blood and Sand, featuring Manu Bennett and Antonio De Mahoa, will be taking place in the Ludus Lounge at 4 o'clock. And the meet and greet with Liam McIntyre will be taking place at 4:30. And that's in Suite 13.
So
now that we're briefly interrupted.
So you go into the market phase, which is exactly that. This is where you buy things. But the real importance here is this is where you buy Spartacus. This is where you buy Gannicus. This is where you buy Crixus. This is where you buy weaponry. This is where you buy extra slaves. And these are all based on characters in the show and trying to get there. So Asher, for example, he's not a very good gladiator, but he is very tricky. He helps you in things. He brings down the influence needed. He's always doing a deal. So we've tried to really get the cards to reflect what these characters were in the show. There are ways of getting extra rolls on injury and this sort of stuff. So now is where you've spent the money. But the most important part of the market is that right at the end, you as players bid to hold the gladiatorial games. And as soon as you win that, you get 1 point of influence. And I'm going to keep reiterating this, is everything you should do should be leading to you getting more influence throughout the game. So everything you buy should be something to do that when you go through.
So you're not just playing for the short game. You're playing for the long game.
Oh, yes, yeah. So very well put is don't play the short game, play little bits of short game with a long-term goal. Once you've won the right to host the games, doesn't mean you have to go in. You could ask you two gentlemen, would you like to go in? You can charge them. You try anything. You can now say, would anybody not like to go in? Well, pay me gold and I won't invite you. All about trying to get gold for you. But if you win the combat, you also gain 1 influence. So of course if you've got a really good gladiator and your poor opponent that you're going to pick on has got a not so good gladiator, you can get 2 points of influence very quickly. And my last demo game actually had a couple of those where I was able to move 4 spaces in 2 rounds. I still lost, but I was doing well for a few minutes there.
looking at some of this stuff there, I noticed that some characters have a little more influence.
Yes.
Some characters. How did you balance that out?
Well, I'd love to say that I did, but I'm not one of the designers.
Right.
So sadly, I'm going to let you down on that question.
Well, okay. How is it? Is everything pretty much balanced when it comes to characters? And
Pretty
comes to
much.
the card?
Though, as I said this morning, with Liam coming and playing, the last thing he wandered off afterwards, he was like, I don't like the way Gannicus beats me so often. So like with any game, there's a little bit of dice luck and how you tool things up and try to that. We've tried to make it reflect the show and be as balanced as we can, but there is difference. So if you take Agron, for example, it is when the first game was made, the Agron card was when he was much more a training gladiator, not the general he became. So his card is slightly weaker than some might like him by then. But that now gives us the opportunity to, when we do one of our expansions, to have a new Agron card, and you can choose which one you would use. So Theocles is the same. In the first game, he is what we call the 12-pip gladiator. He has 5 attacks, 5 descents, and 2 movements. He's very tough. In the last expansion, he has moved to be a 13-pip gladiator, which now means he can move a bit more, because we were finding that actually he was being taken out far too often just by one gladiator. And his whole premise in the show was it took 2.
Yeah.
But he can never team up in what is called a primus, which is where there are more gladiators than just 2. And in the primus, he fights on his own, but you need 2 to take him out. He's a tough cookie.
Yeah. And now I just have the board game.
Yeah.
How many expansions are there?
There are 2 full expansions, Shadows of Death, and come on, the other one will come to me in a second. I'll get back to that in a minute. And then there's a small character pack of cards, which are the House Batiata's father's champions. And it was just done for a little bit of fun. They are very capable gladiators in themselves. You don't have to play with them, but everybody loves them.
Are the expansions worth it? I mean,
oh yes. What the main 2 things the expansions do, and I have to say, I'm hardly likely to say no now, am I? Is they add new player houses. So you can go to play 7 people if you want. That makes the game much longer, I'll admit that. Or, what we do is we tend to put down the 7 playing pieces, shuffle them all up, and then we choose 4 at random, or 5 at random, however many friends are around. So you're not always playing exactly the same game. It just gives a different one going, oh, actually, Batiatus isn't playing today. The houses react with one another differently depending on who's being played.
Oh,
very nice.
Pretty cool. That's a little intrigue. So
yeah. If I had the money, I'd buy all the expansions.
That's very nice of you to say so. Thank you.
Yeah, because because I've seen the expansions before. I actually saw them earlier today, and I saw them yesterday when I walked by. And they're smaller boxes, but those small boxes pack a lot of punch.
Yes, they do. They have a new card deck, new card decks that you add in, new playing pieces. The reason that they are actually smaller is they don't need to be as big for there's no board, because they are adding onto the board, which is the arena. You don't need an extra arena.
Now, when I look at the back, because we're looking at the back of the box, which shows us the game board, the chips, and all that stuff. When you add on more than 4 people, how does that work when you have up to 7 people?
You just need a bigger table. Honestly, it is that simple. You need some chairs and a bigger table because you sit round, because it's just this bit. The arena is just played in one part. Everything else is about the cards that you've got in your hand and you playing them down and taking money or giving money to the bank or playing and foiling schemes on one another that whoever you seem to be attacking at the moment.
Very nice. And of course, you've done many other games as well. You have Firefly, which is a big fan favorite show as well.
I have yet to play it. I've been wanting to sometime.
I haven't played it because I have the issue. It's like I need people. I'm not going to spend the money if I don't have the people to play.
I understand.
Yeah, but what other shows have you done? Because obviously you've done Spartacus, you've done Firefly.
Sons of Anarchy, which is based obviously on the bike culture. All the all the bike clubs that are in the show are in there. There are 2 expansions that help you just again add. You can play that one. You can play from 2 to 6 if you want at the moment. I would say with Spartacus, it's best to have 3 players, 3 or more. 2 you can, but you're not going to enjoy it nearly as much.
Yeah, because we've seen that in the show where it's just 2 houses feuding.
Yeah. And it is, where the attack's coming from, that sort of thing. There's very hard ability to ally up when there's just the 2 of you. If you're allying, what are you doing? It's silly. So, Sons of Anarchy is much more what we call a resource gathering game. You're out trying to get, naughty stuff, let's put it like that. Guns and contraband and that sort of thing. And trying to sell it at the right time to capitalize how much money you're on. The difference between there is because it is a tile-based board game, you reveal 2 tiles per turn, and once you reveal the last 2 tiles, you are done. So you will play 6 rounds, and that's it. So a shorter game, when you have got very, very competent Spartacus players, it can go out for long because you're all buying all the time. With this, it is a set time, so hour and a half to 2, and you're done in Sons of Anarchy. Almost impossible to make the game run longer than that. Homeland, sorry?
I was going to ask, how long does a normal game of Spartacus run?
If the 3 of us was to sit down, I'd murder you all in 40 minutes. Because you 2 haven't played yet, it would be totally unfair. If, however, we're all competent, hour and a half to 2, yeah, if we added a 4th, 2 hours easily, that's about it. You can close out a game that quickly. You can make it longer.
Attention SpartaCon fans, at 4 o'clock, the celebrity panel number 3, Blood and Sand, will be taking place in the Lewis Lounge. It features Manu Bennett and Antonio De Mahela. That's at 4 o'clock, just minutes away. Also want to let you know that there was a Young Rebel Gladiator training taking place at 4:15. 4:15. That's the Young Rebel Gladiator training with Vanessa Gator. And that will be taking place on the arena floor here. So 4 o'clock is your celebrity panel, Blood and Sand, and also those that have the Liam McIntyre meet and greet for Sunday at 4:30. That's going to be taking place in Suite 13.
Now I just got to ask, how many kids are actually here?
I have no idea.
I've seen quite a few.
I think I've seen more today than I saw yesterday.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few kids. There's a cute little cosplayer that came in with their mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw her yesterday too. Yeah.
Cute little princess. A couple other cosplayers, kids.
Some of the little guy, the little chap who was maybe 10, dressed as one of the gladiators. His thing was just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It was really, really sweet.
Walking around with a hammer too. Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice.
Parenting.
Speaking of which, There she
Yes,
is.
Yeah, there's the one from
princess right now.
But
And the last game, just to mention, that we've done is Homeland. And that is a cooperative spy game. So you are playing three distinct people, good CIA agents, political optimists, and one of you may be a terrorist. There are games that there isn't a terrorist. And it is how you're there. So you cooperate to deal with threats, and then again, once the point system that goes up on each side gets to a certain number, it's done. And then you calculate by the assets and everything you've done through the game who wins. If there is a terrorist and he's identified, he cannot win. But again, an hour and a half game there. If I can shamelessly plug a few that are coming out, is we have a Stewie Sexy Party, which is it's a chuckling.
I'm ready to have a sexy party.
And it's all about martini glasses and being invited in through building up assets and making sort of funny comments through the cards that you get. A bit like Cards Against Humanity type thing. You're doing that, but with adult-ish jokes in there, because McFarlane definitely has that sort of humour and fart jokes and stuff like that.
And because you're doing the Family Guy, how involved is Seth MacFarlane in on it?
Well, he's actually just finished going through it and saying, "I'm happy right now." He did it, I think. 4
So he's
days
that
ago.
involved.
Yes, they all are, because they are very. These are their babies, as it were. You know, they don't want us going out there and doing some terrible product.
Oh, no.
Yes, I mean, Mr. Stutter for Sons of Anarchy had to go through and just make sure that he was comfortable with the wordage that we're using, everything like that. They all ratify the images that we use. So every single image in Spartacus is a still from the film. And we have to get every one of those okayed. And you will get some actors going, "No, I don't want that attitude. Can you use this one?" We go, "Yeah, absolutely. You know, it is their right to do so."
Yeah. So, and what other games do you have coming out in the near
We've
future?
got one, and this most probably will surprise some people, but I think it is going to be a huge thing, which is WWE.
Oh, wow.
And when we got
I'm sorry, hold on. I am raising my arms in victory. Because I am also wearing my CM Punk t-shirt, which I got from ProWrestlingTees.com. WWE. Oh, man, I got to hear about this.
It again was an
Intrigue.
idea. Yes, and the funny thing is it started off as a Spartacus mechanic. We thought we could do the fight mechanic for other things. And actually the guys were happy with it, and then one of them, I think in this case, and I hope I quoted correctly here, is Sean Swigert came up with, "I think I've got a better one," and they developed what they very cheesily, but I love it, call the Slam O'Bran. It's just, it works almost like rock, paper, scissors, spot. So when you go strike, grapple, and there's another one which I do apologise to your listeners for.
Reversal?
Reversal, it might be that there, and then slam. Slam beats everything. Grapple beats strike, and strike beats etc., etc. And then you have what is called a block card, which loses to everything, but you take no damage. And so each wrestler has its own deck of what it can do. Lots of them have slams and strikes and grapples, but all in different orders. All of them have kick-out cards. And the way you play this is you get dealt 6 cards, you play 3 down. You then turn them over, and depending on what things won is how you are winning as it goes on. The real clever bit here is the movement element, because in Spartacus you tend to go to one another and then you slog it out. Well, that's not wrestling.
No.
Wrestling is throwing yourself into a corner, coming powering off the ropes, getting into there, arm barring somebody, doing everything.
I used to play
whole
the old card games, like use a missile drop kick, you know.
Yep, and that's what we've tried to duplicate in this, but with a board game, because we have a board game license. And so what you can do is you can move one space to the rope, power yourself forward, which is free movement, move another place over to do another charge through. Now, so when you actually run into the character, you've actually moved 4 paces, which multiply the damage that you are about to do on your card.
That's awesome.
And I was so amazed that what they've really duplicated is wrestling on a board game.
And
I'm gonna
I just want to throw this out there. I actually do a wrestling podcast called MBM Wrestling. So obviously, I'm going to tell Ben and Mansa, you got to listen to the segment.
Yep.
Because that would be something that I could see the three of us doing.
Absolutely.
And actually, maybe because we podcast.
And in a shameless plug, I'm going to say what you should do is make sure you give me the email address, and I will send you a WWE, so you will get one and then can absolutely play it on air. Because the beauty of this game is 2 players.
Really? And there's 3 of us.
2 players.
And actually, the interesting thing is that when we actually record our podcast, we're actually all together in one room.
Can you play more than 2?
You can. The beauty of this is you have a stable of, I was just going to call them gladiators, it's too much SpartaCon, of wrestlers. And the box set comes with 6 current ones, Senna, Biggie,
Cena, Biggie Langston.
Yes, and again, you're going to have to apologise here, far too much in the Spartacus.
Don't worry, I'll bring them out for you.
And they play in teams. You can swap them around, you can choose which ones they'll do. And what you can do is you can play the 3 of us, we're playing against 3 of our mates. So I'm playing one, you're playing one, you're playing one. I'm in there, I'm getting my face kicked in. So I just go up to you and literally tag you in. Because I don't want to lose. So I'm out there. You could be thrown out of the ring. We all 3 kick him. Because it's down. Think about it again. If it can be done in wrestling, that's what they've got in the game. And we're going to have
that's actually that's my next question. Actually, was what are the mechanics for going outside the ring? I mean, when you're watching
on the card, it will say throw.
All right.
If you win the slammogram, you can now do what it says on the thing. So you can throw an opponent 3 spaces. That might be able to get him out of the ring. If you throw him in the right direction, you've just thrown him into your 2 compatriots that are there who can now do damage. And what happens is your deck of cards that you have is your health points, how fit you are. So as things happen, you have to discard cards. So if you're throwing them away, not recycling them, you're getting weaker. So every time you do a block card, that doesn't come back, that's just discarded. So if you unfortunately pull all block cards right at the beginning, that's not a good deck to start with. You're going to get, you're going to take no damage whatsoever at the beginning, but then later on, your opponent knows you haven't got any. So there might be time to tag out quickly, because then you might be able to reshuffle your deck. When you go through and suddenly you get pinned because you've lost, you have to start dealing off cards off the top of your deck, and if you do not get a kick-out card, you're pinned. Game's over. Can be that quick.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Just like wrestling. Think about it again. You see it come in, the clothesline comes in, man bounces, guy goes on the deck, bloke throws himself on top, and what does the ref do? 1, 2, out! And you go, that's exactly what this could be. I've seen guys get down to 5 cards and then win because the guy couldn't get a kick-out card when he needed it. A little bit of luck, but there's an awful lot of strategy to this as well. And the real beauty is WWE has a whole plethora of old wrestlers. So the next one we'll most probably have is the classic wrestlers. And then we'll have divas. And the real beauty is the divas and the men fight together. It's pretty awesome.
Now, I gotta ask, because there has been some controversy recently with Hulk Hogan. Has he been stripped from the Legends?
I don't know on that.
Because he was actually taken out of WWE 2K16.
Yes.
And
we are not allowed to use any reference to Mr. Hogan at the moment. I do hope, and this is purely my opinion, nothing more, is that some ratification comes along and he's allowed back in. It's not that I've got no influence here, I can't do anything on it, but I do think he is an old classic that everybody loves.
Yeah, and what's going on, I mean, it's an understandable situation.
In this day and age, yes.
Yeah. In this day and age, it's a very understandable situation, but I had to ask the question because it is the big thing, because he was on WWE Tough Enough as a host, and then after 5 episodes, they had to pull those 5 episodes down. You can't watch those episodes anymore.
Yep.
Because of it. So it's one of those deals of like, well, that kind of stinks because I wanted to see episodes 4 and 5. But
and we wanted to have him in the thing. His deck had been worked on, because he was going to be in the classics, and of course now we have to find a different. Luckily, there are lots of classics.
Yeah, and I would assume you'd have like people like Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant is slightly different
Because his actually is. You have to go through his estate, I believe.
That's right.
Yes.
So I believe what will happen, and it depends on the success of the game, is that I can see us approaching them. If the game is huge, which I think it is going to be, I can see us then going and saying, "Are you interested?" They could say no, or say yes for $20 million, and we would go, "No, sorry, it's a board game. You know, this isn't a film night. It's whatever it happens to be." I personally believe they'll go, "Yeah, that will be good," and go from there.
And it seems like with Andre's estate, as long as it's within WWE,
yes,
they normally don't have an issue because they know it's WWE product licensing. And they know WWE loves Andre. I mean, they have a.
How could you not?
They have a match at WrestleMania named after him.
So I gotta ask, what about the outside mechanics? Is there anything involved? You know, jumping off the top rope. You know, using the announcer's table, ladders, chairs. These guys.
What we keep saying, because those haven't been developed fully yet, but our aim is if you can do it in wrestling.
You can do it in the game.
Do it in the game.
That's
and
cool.
Some of it comes down to the success, and what we plan to do is not always come out with big sets. We want to come out with stables of wrestlers. So you've got 3 or 2s.
Oh, you got
and
the
then you just add them to it, and you now decide who you're playing.
Now, you had mentioned obviously John Cena was the name that you brought up. Big E is now in the New Day, which is essentially a stable. How would that translate into future packs going, well, right now Big E is with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods in the New Day, and then you also have new tag teams like the Ascension and Lucha Dragons, and you have NXT.
Yep.
You know, how will that all play out in the future?
You are absolutely talking to a level where I am now left behind, as in I know just enough to be dangerous. I can't answer those questions as of yet because we haven't gone that far.
Yeah.
The release comes out in 6 weeks, I think. We'll see how the first one goes, and hopefully it's such a success that we have to do everything you mentioned, as in what a lovely problem to have.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, at the moment we're just going to take it from where we are and move on. As I say, we've got other little properties as well, not so little, coming up, so we have to juggle our resource. The other one that we've just announced is we will be doing the Star Trek miniatures game. Now, again, when I say miniature game, miniatures board game. We're not about to make a whole tabletop war game or anything like that, because that's not our license.
Well, I mean, the guys so far, I've been playing some of that, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
And I can say it right now, I could definitely see Mansa, Ben, and I doing a live recording of MBM Wrestling while playing the board game for WWE, because it's just like,
hey, if you need a couple of
it's
a debacle.
Like literally, we'll have our notes of what we need to talk about on the show, and then we'll just be playing the board game. And it was just like, damn it, Manson, why'd you do that? Why'd you have to tag me in? I didn't want to be in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the real beauty of that is you're talking in rounds now. So you actually can play a quick, wrestling match in 10, 15 minutes, but you tend to play a series of them with a goal in mind at the end to see who is the champion. But it's much,
and our podcast generally goes an hour and a half to 2 hours.
That's right.
So
you get a few games in.
Yeah.
Could we be able to play a couple games with you guys later?
Of
anything. Spartacus mostly.
Absolutely, yes. Sadly, not WWE, because I haven't got any in the country yet. We did have a few at Gen Con 2 weeks ago. All sold out.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah, and literally I've been so waiting for this. I am amazed at how many wrestling fans are also.
Actually, the reason I bring up Ben and Mansa, who I do the wrestling podcast with, is because on Sunday nights they do D&D.
Ah, gotcha. Yes,
so they're D&Ders, and I'm actually not. So obviously, I think when I play them in the WWE, they're just going to be beating the crap out of me.
And it's almost like we'd practiced this before, which we hadn't, because the last license we just signed is the D&D board game license.
Oh, nice.
So a busy year for Gale Force 9, that is for sure.
A busy year, but a good busy year.
Oh,
Good
absolutely.
busy year.
It's a
Magnificent
lovely
busy.
problem to have.
Now, John, I want to let you go because obviously you want to get back to your table. You want to play some more Spartacus. Be up from the table.
Absolutely, yes.
So, real quick, give some plugs. Where can people find Gale Force 9?
Gale Force 9 can always be found on www.gf9.com. You can also go to flamesofwar.com, follow it by the three W's, and I would actually really put out there, go to your local game store. They need all the help they can get. This is where you'll find opponents, friends, pick up games, whatever. But if you haven't got one of those, obviously internet sales, Amazon, places like that. Almost if you can think where you could buy it, it is being retailed there at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm going to echo something that Ben said when we recorded on Free Comic Book Day. Go to your comic book stores, because especially when you do free when you do Free Comic Book Day. That does cost the comic book stores money to get those free comics to give out to you guys.
And just to reiterate,
Support your local shops.
Yes, support your local shops. Get subscriptions.
Hobby shops, I mean all of them. I'm not picking on a specific variety. We just call them hobby shops in England. These are comic shops, these are model shops, these are wargaming shops.
I go to 3 different shops I go to locally. It's either Magic the Gathering, then DBZ Panini, Panini game, board games. Those guys are great.
They need all our help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And but on that, John, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, John.
No problem at all. I expect you over to play a game later.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
I have time, so.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
So for now, I'm actually going to go on break. I'm actually going to play some Spartacus board game with my buddy Steven and John. So until then, I'll be back. And joining me now on the Xperience SpartaCon Day 2 coverage is Spartacus himself, Mr. Liam McIntyre. Liam, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I am ecstatic that this is actually happening.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And I just have to ask, how is SpartaCon treating you so far? What's it been like to be here in Waldorf, Maryland?
Oh, it's been such a blast, man. Like, it's such an honor to have, we've got our own convention. That's special. Like, to have fans like that actually go to that trouble to organize it and attend it is something that you couldn't even dream of when we were making it. It's awesome.
And I've legitimately been a fan since day one. I actually was in a LARP called Darkon, which is medieval fighting with foam-padded weapons.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And so, I was like, wow, I could really learn a lot of new things. And actually, earlier I had Ellen and Barry on.
Yeah.
And I actually, after we were done recording, I actually got to show him my dagger fighting stance that I actually used in the pit fights for Darkon.
Oh, amazing! How'd they rate it?
They rated it pretty good.
That's great, man. I love it.
They take it as a plus.
That's awesome.
But what was it like for you going into Spartacus, knowing that you had to fill the shoes of Andy? Because that's something I've always wanted to ask you personally, because it's the number one question, honestly.
Yeah, no, I understand absolutely, man, and it's one of those difficult things, because it's obviously, I would do anything to change the situation where it's not even a role you can audition for, because we'd much rather have Andy than I mean, it's much more important than me getting a cool job. But it's this weird, for me, it's this weird experience of like, in the same moment I've got like my biggest dream ever in my whole life has been realized, but in the worst possible way you could ever think to realize it. So you've got this horrible situation, which was really hard. But I mean, I love the show from the get-go. Like my best friend introduced it to me well before I ever auditioned for it, and I loved it. And I guess when you're finally in that position, you're left going, well, all I can do is try to honor the legacy of this great man.
There was a great, wonderful tribute video that was actually aired yesterday.
There was. It was beautiful, and he's incredible as Spartacus. Andy really made the show. I mean, the reason I could audition for a show at all is because he was so amazing in the role of Spartacus. So it was, it was a really bittersweet experience for me, having such a wonderful job, but at such a horrible cost,
Yeah. But and actually, this is an interesting question, because I noticed that when Andy was playing Spartacus, he was a little shorter than Manu, or about the same height, and then you're actually taller than him. So how did they make that work?
Oh, different actors, I suppose. It's it's like anything. The beauty of film is you can really play with things. So things like height. You know, I would meet Tom Cruise and be surprised because he's such a big presence on screen, but he's like, you know, he's not the tallest guy in the world, but that's just kind of the beauty of film. You can create that story, you know. So to me, I guess maybe ask the others because I'd never occurred to me to be something to concern myself with. It was just one of those things, I guess.
Yeah, because I noticed that right off the bat that Andy and Manu literally saw eye to eye, and then you're like a couple inches taller. But actually, right here, I actually just talked to Gale Force 9 about the board game. And I was talking to Steve Huff last night, and he told you you're a big gamer.
Yeah, no,
and Gale Force 9, John from there, he was like,
I was talking to him too.
You sat down at the table, and he was like, I just played this like 2 days ago.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we played it. A bunch of my friends, some of my acting friends actually. He was like, would it be weird if I asked you to come to my house and play Spartacus the board game with my friends because they love it? And I was like, I like it too, but it's really weird asking to play a game with me on it. It's a really fun game, but again, because I'm on it, it's kind of really awkward to try and get anyone to play it because you sort of feel like a bit of a dick.
If you notice, mine's still unopened.
Yeah, well, that's not. You can't. It's hard to play it that way.
Well, it's also hard to play when you don't have anyone to play with.
Well, there's that. Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, I told this to you yesterday, and I'm actually want to record this story. How I won it. Because I won it for the show.
That's right. Yeah,
I won it for a Twitter trivia question.
What was that question?
Which was, how did the rebels defeat or do the sneak attack on the Romans?
Yeah.
Which was gathering vines and going down Mount Vesuvius.
That's correct.
And that's how they did it. And
Tick. I'll give you a board game for that.
Yeah. And actually, I was sitting at the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C. for an ice hockey game.
Amazing.
And when they notified me.
That's cool. What a way to be.
So I was like, hey, I'm watching hockey and I get to win a board game.
It's always nice to win stuff.
And then later that week, I won a Hot Topic Power Rangers pack on Twitter. And then I won later that, like a couple months later.
You have maxed out your winning.
And then I won a Washington Capitals t-shirt.
Really?
On Twitter like a few months later. So
You've done it right, man.
I haven't won anything since. So
that's fair.
My luck is run out.
Right. I won this job, though, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah. But actually, as an actor, I would love to do more stuff. Obviously, with my jaw surgery, it put me in a position where I can't act, but I can do the hosting.
Sure, great.
It's helping me get back in position. Obviously, I gave you a copy of my film Cosplay Life, which is the first time I ever wrote and produced and been a lead.
Great.
When you hear someone say that to you, what does that mean to you?
Say which specific part of that?
Like when you hear someone who's trying to get up into the level that you're at, and they're making their own content to get noticed.
That's the way. I mean, for me, acting is just working hard. It's a very high risk job in the sense of like no matter how good you get, you never really know if you're gonna get that moment. But the last thing you can do is wait for it, you know. And it's true of it. Like acting is not dissimilar to anything in life.
All right.
Where you just really, if you really work hard, you can. In any job that you love, if you're passionate about it and you work really hard, you have the best chance of success.
All right. And I'm being told 1 minute, so
sure,
I'm actually going to say thank you so much for this interview opportunity. It has been a pleasure and an honor to talk to you and meet you.
Oh, so
everyone can find you on Twitter at Liam.
Liam_J_McIntyre if you want to check me out there, or Liam.J.McIntyre on Instagram. Either way.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to go back on the break.
All right. Take care.
And we are back from break right now for SpartaCon Day 2 coverage of the experience. And with me right now is the head of the DC Stunt Coalition, Dylan. How are you doing, man?
Very good today, sir. How are you? And gratitude for the frosted mini-wheats.
Not a problem. I know you're hungry because you do a lot of fighting.
I am. I'm one of the guys in the show. I actually have probably less fights than some of the guys. Some of the guys are doing 3 or 4 fights in this thing, and me, I think I got a total of 3. One of them's a guest spot, but oh man, they take it out of you. You get hungry all day, all the time.
Yeah. And what's it been like working with like Manu Bennett, Liam McIntyre, Stephen Dunlevy, like just all of them in general?
We got to actually do a little bit with Manu. He had this brilliant idea of coming out to the field and changing the end of the Theocles fight that we had set up. Now, we had our Theocles fight set up as this epic ending where Spartacus would behead Theocles. Obviously, we wouldn't do that, but we did had the double throat slice thing planned. Manu himself, though, had other plans, because the second he came through the hallway on his way to watch the Primus, he saw our guy, Mark, playing Theocles, and Manu told me this, he said, I think I just saw a ghost. And he like freaked out because he did a double take and he was like, oh no, he's back. So and this was my assumption since we planned this fight, is like I wanted to make sure that the makeup and the costume designed by Rachel Frederick, my girlfriend and the incredible costume designer for the DC Stunt Coalition, who also helped with the makeup. The help was also from Casey Shapiro, Mark's wife, and Joanne Abbott, who's a makeup artist in the DMV. I wanted them to put together this great-looking Theocles character that if Manu saw him, he would just immediately go into a fit of PTSD. Not to hurt Manu, but just because I thought it was funny, which makes me an even worse person.
And I just want to throw this out there real quick. The things that you're hearing is right now, Manu Bennett, Todd Lassance, Dustin Clare, Liam McIntyre, and Anna Hutchison are all on the baseball field right now playing some baseball.
Yeah, I think some of them think it's cricket.
And somebody's actually playing the baseball music right now.
Yeah.
So that's what you're hearing in the background right now. But so where did the baseball bat idea come from?
It was all Manu. I don't even know where he got a bat. We're in a baseball field, so somebody's got to have a bat. You know, it's that way about it. But he just thought it would be funny to come all the way from left field, all the way from the back 1,000 yards away.
From like the bullpen.
I thought he was going to just like walk in from the stands. So we're sitting there waiting for Brendan, our guy that played Spartacus. I was playing Crixus in the fight. We're waiting for him. We're waiting for Manu to come out, and Brendan's just standing there over Mark with the 2 swords across his throat. I was going to lie there the whole time. And we're waiting for Manu, and then we hear this whistle from 1,000 feet away, and all of a sudden it's like fistful of dollars as he comes riding into town from the back as slow as possible, Jason Voorhees style. Oh my God, this music is driving me nuts. And it's appropriate for the moment. He comes in, and it takes him 5 minutes to cross the field, and we're just like, oh my God, is he just going to beat us all to death? Like, we were just waiting.
But I was podcasting the Primus, and I was just like, what is going on? What is Manu Bennett doing with that baseball bat? And I'm just commenting, going, what is he doing?
He's doing whatever he wanted to do, and we were cool about it. Now, he was a pro about it. We talked about it ahead of time. We made sure that it would be safe. Obviously, he wasn't going to hit our guy across the face. What is with that music?
Because you have like
what the music, please?
Because you have like all the cast.
Oh my God, this is embarrassing.
This is the best interview.
Oh, I appreciate it. So he talked with Matt and Mark, and he just wanted to crack him across the face with a baseball bat from a safe distance. We call that stacking in the stunt world. And everybody bought it because our boy Mark has like some of the best sells out of anybody in our group. Because when you are 6'5" and you do a sell, it looks great.
Yeah.
So that was that whole thing.
And I actually got to talk to Steve Huff about Liam and the fight that he had with him. Were you a part of the figuring out of that one?
No. Liam and Steve are actually kind of on at least friendly terms as far as I know. They're buddies. Friends. Yeah.
Yeah, they do game nights together.
Yeah, they do game nights. They train together at Steve's studio in LA. And he just told us they were going to do that as a cap off for the Primus. He's like, how can we argue that Spartacus himself is going to come on and fight?
And not only that, but I actually did get to talk to Liam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the recording, and it was really interesting. And they're playing the Munsters for Liam McIntyre, who's at home plate.
Yeah, he's right there, and he's about ready to crack one off, get a home run.
Actually, have you seen Todd hitting them?
Yeah, I bet Todd just destroys baseballs.
No, Todd has been destroying them.
I bet they just like losing. Really? Can you get them?
All right. Well, Dylan, you know what? We're going to go to break right now. Dylan, thanks for coming on and talking for the brief moment that you were able to come on.
Yeah.
And
thank you very much. Anytime, man.
Plug DC Stunt Coalition.
I'm Dylan Hintz. I'm with the DC Stunt Coalition. We're a group of stunt performers, fight performers, and action actors that train on a weekly basis in Rockville, Maryland. Come check us out at dcstuntcoalition.org. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and especially YouTube for some of our videos. We look forward to you. If you want to come into our doors and check us out and train with us, we'd be more than happy to have you.
All right, and with that, we're going to go right to break. Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from break. I am, of course, Michael Lindenbaum. This is the Xperience. We are recording the last part of the show, not at SpartaCon, but at home, because it gave me a chance to sit back and reflect on what was, I could say, despite its flaws, a successful weekend. It was. I felt really great about the 3 panels that I did. I feel great about how this podcast coverage came out. I'm very satisfied with just it all in general. And, they are planning on doing SpartaCon 2016. I hope they listened to day 1 coverage when I had Adam, who was a vendor there, giving advice, because I do agree with him. The marketplace was not properly, pushed. It was not, nobody really knew it was there. There were vendors, that, a friend of mine also was there who wasn't happy. He barely made costs so he can get home. So marketing the marketplace next year, I definitely think, is something that needs to be done big time. The way the celebrities were set up I thought was a very good setup. Maybe change it where the bigger celebrities, maybe you give them more room so their lines can not take over the other celebrities' lines. But yeah, I thought it went well. I really did. Another thing, and again, this is just advice going into next year, SpartaCon 2. Need more programming. Need more programming, because there were times when I literally was sitting going, okay, what can I do right now? And that's not a good thing. As an attendee, you don't want to be like that. You don't want to be sitting on your hands going, well, I met all the celebrities. I did that panel that I wanted to do. I did the marketplace. And then there's this panel that's like, it's like at the end of the day, I want to do it, but there's really nothing to do right now to kill the time to get up there. Find the things that you can do, that people can actually do to have fun, that kills time. It was brought up, because I did LARPing, and it was a great idea. Get people sign if people are willing to sign waivers, maybe pay $10. Have them go out on the field and fight with foam-padded weapons. Have them get out there maybe with the DC Stunt Coalition and do, go through like a mini boot camp with the DC Stunt Coalition. Maybe the Stunt Coalition could teach them fights, and that could just be something that goes on throughout the day. That way there's always something going on that can keep people's attention. Because the last thing you want is the people go, okay, I'm at the celebs, I did the panel that I wanted to go to, I'm going to go home now. That's not good. But again, this is just advice to the people of SpartaCon, because it was a first year con. There's obviously going to be a lot of growing with this convention, and I hope that the advice that myself, Adam, who was one of the vendors, and others, that have given out there, I really hope they take this advice and really use it to grow the convention more. And I'm also saying this as a fan of Spartacus. I love the show. I love it. I would totally do another Spartacus fan convention any day, because that's how much I love the show. And you obviously, everyone heard that throughout the last 2 days of coverage through my interviews and just the conversations that I've been having. So, with that said, I actually want to go back to Barry Duffield and Ellen Hollman for a moment. And, you know, as everyone knows, I said earlier, due to technical issues, you only got the last 5 minutes of the interview. As a result, I want to push certain things for Ellen and Barry. And this is for me to them because I feel like I owe this to them. In regards to Barry Duffield, he has 2 graphic novels out. They are both on Amazon. One is called Dead Man's Land, which is actually kind of inspired by Shaun of the Dead. And I love Shaun of the Dead. Barry loves Shaun of the Dead. So it's a very good story and a very good inspiration to pull from to create Dead Man's Land. And then most recently, actually just this year, Barry also has released the graphic novel Tandoori Apocalypse. Tandoori is spelled Tandoori. Like I said, they're both up on Amazon. So go out, buy them, support Barry and his endeavors with graphic novels. And of course, he has more films that are going to be coming out in the near future. So keep an eye out on that. Go to Barry Duffield's Facebook page. You can find Barry on there, and you can also find him on Twitter. And for Ellen Hollman, of course, recently she just had the movie The Scorpion King 4 come out on Blu-ray and DVD, so go out and pick that up. You heard her talk about that a little bit on the podcast. And then, of course, she also has a new show coming out in November on AMC called Into the Badlands, which is a post-apocalyptic TV series. So there is something that is coming down the road that's actually very current involving Ellen Hollman. So with that, I just want to say, if you're watching this on the YouTube, stay tuned, because after I do the sign-off, you will be getting a very special video, just like you did with day 1. And this one, you know what? Dylan Hintz and I talked about it, but we're just going to let you watch it. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm Michael Lindenbaum. You can follow me on Twitter at @thelindenbaum75. Facebook, facebook.com, X75 Productions, and on YouTube, look up X75 Productions and subscribe today. I want to thank all my guests, Dustin, Clare, John from Gale Force 9, Barry and Ellen, Stephen Dunlevy, Liam McIntyre, Patrick Michael Strange, as always, I love you, brother, and Marco, and Steve Huff, and Steve David from Coslove, and once again, I also just want to thank everyone from SpartaCon. I want to thank Matt Bergevin, Meg Snyder, and Kelly McLeod Montgomery. They put on a good show. I'll even admit that I had some doubts. Some of them were brought to be true. Others were proved to be dumbfounded to have. And it was a great weekend, looking back at it now. So, I'm Michael Lindenbaum. You've been listening to The Xperience, SpartaCon Day 2 coverage. And until next time, I'll see you on the flip side.
This is just so awesome. He did the Babe Ruth point with the baseball bat. He's like, so where should I hit his head? This is hilarious. Oh! And you are out Theocules. Oh, that's just so awesome. That's so awesome.
That was amazing.
And like I said, Liam